What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Los Angeles Havoc, aka Lay Tato, the one and only high priest of the congregation. Welcome back to a story of Lay. Now, this is a very special episode. I actually plan to do something different at the request of my friend Victor, but I also realized that it's an interesting occasion. October 11th, 2024 is the 12-year anniversary of my album Dorian Gray. And I wanted to talk to you guys about that album. So I wanted to talk to you guys about how the album came to be, what it meant to me, what it meant then, what it means and feels like now, some of the song meanings, things of that sort. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. If you do me a solid, please give the video a thumbs up. If you enjoy this type of content, it's a little bit, but it does go a long way in terms of helping the channel grow. Without any further ado, let's get into it. So first things first, October 11th. Doesn't really seem too much now in like 2024, but I was really digging the idea of the numerology and dropping an album on October 11th, 2012, 10, 11, 12. So I just thought that was really cool. So that's why the date thing is so easy to remember. So I thought that was really cool. Conceptually, I really like the premise of the story, The Portrait of Dorian Gray. Um, Dorian Gray is a young man. He has this artist paint a portrait of him, and he is so enamored with how beautiful the portrait is when it comes out and it's finished. He makes a kind of throwaway comment where he says, "If only this portrait would age instead of me." He's a very handsome young man, very dapper, and I think that was uh, that was kind of like the driving factor behind the statement. But lo and behold, uh, things actually did go that route. So, but the portrait itself not only absorbed his age, it also absorbed every single thing he experienced, every debauchery, every cut, every wound. So dude was out here living reckless. Dude was out here breaking hearts, engaging in all types of indulgence, and eventually the portrait became horrid. It became a self-reflection of the life that he was living, and all the horrors that came with it. And the story culminates with him being deceased. And I won't really give that away just in case, we got some readers out there that aren't aware of the story. But it's a classic. The Picture of Dorian Gray was written in 1890 by Oscar Wilde. Now, I know you're probably like, what does any of this have to do with the album aside from the name? Well, I love the concept of the story. I thought that was kind of fascinating to take the idea of, you know, having something absorb all of the impurities that you're living and experiencing so you can just kind of leaving nothing else but the pleasure. So I thought, wouldn't it be neat if I themed an album around that? And it came to me when I actually wrote the song Dorian Gray. If you've been here for a long time, you know the song itself has a music video shot by Secrets. It's a phenomenal video. The song was an introspective song about reflecting on my life and more so how, in a lot of ways, I feel I've neglected myself and how I've felt myself kind of unworthy of certain things and all of that self disenchantment, that self loathing a little bit, kind of manifests itself into this monster, this monster in the mirror, so to speak. And so I wrote a line in that song where I said, "My portrait reflects all of the hurt and neglect. My name is Dorian Gray. This is the story of Lay." And it was like a eureka moment when I wrote the song because I had a whole different album. I did an EP called Prelude to Madness that I ended up releasing beforehand because I had about 7 songs completed. It was Man of My Word, None Like, and a couple of other tracks on there. And when I wrote Dorian Gray, I went a completely different direction with the album. I went total pivot, and I I wanted to basically build an album around that song and that theme. And I ended up basically creating this idea of what if my Lost Angel persona and my Phoenix persona, what if Phoenix is the monster in the mirror? What if Phoenix is the portrait? When, but what happens when that persona takes over? So I themed the album around that, and it was very fun to write. It was very fun to just kind of let myself go and kind of tell this story in my own way, and really kind of dive into a lot of these deeper concepts. And I tried to keep the general pacing that's kept in the actual story too, just because Dorian, has these moments earlier on in the story where he's just not giving a fuck, and he's basically out, like I said, kind of doing whatever he wants to do. But then ultimately it leads to him losing a lover, and losing people he cares about in his life and stuff like that. And that's kind of his epiphany moment of like, wow, I'm kind of wilding. And so I wanted to, in keep with that, I wanted to basically be out of control, realize I'm out of control, and then try to come to a point of acceptance. So the album kind of goes through all those things. And what's cool to me about the project beyond the concept, like I'm very proud of it. And I think it's easy. Dorian Gray is easily probably one of my best pieces of work. I'm also very proud that musically it represents at the time, my past, present, and future influences with music. I had my bro Warren Peace on the album. Warren Peace is the guy who got me into music. Is my sister's ex boyfriend, and I wrote my first song to one of his beats that he actually had a song to. I basically made a remix to one of his songs as my first songs. Um, Havoc's on there. Rain and Secrets. They hopped on my track Muses. My computer had crashed, and I had sent the open to them, but I had no way of finishing the song. And Rain and Seek recorded their verses, and Rain mixed him and Seek into that open that I had. I think I had a finished open. It was like a finished mix of the open. I may have sent Rain my files. I can't remember. I just know I sent the open. May or may not have sent my files. My brothers made that shit happen, and I think that is so awesome. Really grateful for them to have done that and be a part of the track, and the track itself being such a meaningful track because it's talking about muses and inspiration, and the feelings of frustration when I cannot you know hear that muse, when I can't feel that motivation and that drive and that inspiration to create. And of course then future speaking, which past tense at this point, but um, my friends Trait Razor and So Sincere are also on the track, Behind Closed Doors, which is on the album. And I just thought it was really cool to have just everybody at the time that had some significant role in my development as an artist. Warren being the beginning, Havoc being you know, the current and present and everything like that. And then Sin and Trait being a new element that I met moving to Baltimore in 2010 and kind of being in the Baltimore music scene for a couple of years and just building connections and everything. It's nice to have those parties in particular on the project because of what all of them meant as far as my personal connections with them, as well as their influence in me musically. And fun fact about Behind Closed Doors, Sin, Trait, and I recorded that in the studio together, and I will never forget to this day that session because of Trait's verse. Trait had a line in there that like literally stopped the entire session. Like we're all talking and everything like that, and Trait goes, "Bitch, Nilla with a bottle of testosterone, you couldn't make a hormone." And we were like, "Hey yo, what the fuck?" I feel like I've told this story probably in another video, but again, like you can't make it up. It was great. It was a great session and it was fun, and I'm glad we got to do that, and the song came out dope. Um, I think up until the point where I actually released Dorian Gray on platforms, Trait would actually hit me up and be like, "Hey, yo, why isn't this out there?" you know. And I had actually done some work with Trait and Sin prior on a track called "We Do It Major" that is actually yet to be released. Um, but I mean, if y'all want to hear it, let me know. I mean, I might throw it out there. I'm kind of in a mood of getting music out there. But going back to Dorian Gray, speaking to the content itself. Now, the interesting part about it for me is that I don't know how well the album has aged, um, but I am very proud of the work that it is, the body of work that Dorian Gray is. Again, some of my best material. Put a lot of my heart and soul into that project, and it was the first album that I also put out for sale, and I actually um, and sold a good amount of copies. I think I sold. I got 100 physical copies pressed up, and they all got sold, and that was cool. And it's on platforms now, years later. But glad that it's out there so more people can hear it and enjoy the music. It's weird to look back 12 years musically and personally and think about where I was at, what was going on in my life at the time, and wow. I think the last thing I'll say about Dorian Gray is that I think that it allowed me a lane to get super creative with how I wrote, how I record my music. It also made me very comfortable with thinking outside the box, and you know, playing with these different personas of mine, these different voices, if you will, and kind of just being in love with my craft. I love, I know I say it all the time, I love music very much. And it's a struggle bus sometimes just because I am human. I have a personal life, I have work, and I have a community. Y'all know I do gaming and everything outside of this music thing. And I'm just grateful that to this day, people not only do they enjoy classic projects like Dorian Gray, they still want new stuff. Um, and you guys are an amazing support system, and I couldn't be happier with the way that you guys show up and um, just support the channel, support what I do here musically. Those of you that also are subscribed to my Late Tato Clips channel because you enjoy the gaming content too, appreciate you as well. Um, and if you're new here, if you're just watching, I know I've been posting clips and everything lately, and that's not going to be stopping anytime soon. But if you're new here, welcome. Welcome. I apologize if this long ass video is your introduction to my channel, but I really enjoy talking about my process. And one more final note, Dorian Gray is actually responsible for spawning the title of this series. The very first song on Dorian Gray is Story LA. Thank you guys so much for watching another installment of the Story LA. I know this one got a little bit longer. Next, we're going to be talking about my song Better Off, and then we'll probably be discussing Woes. I want to talk about the singles and the most popular songs on my Spotify on my Spotify page. I want to talk about each of those songs and everything. Give those a spotlight for folks that are interested, that be bumping them joints and vibing. All that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It's a little bit, but it does go a long way in terms of helping the channel grow, and I really appreciate it. And if you want to see more content like this, you like the music, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. My name is Los Angel of Havoc. Thank you once again for watching. We will see you next time, friends. Same late time, same late channel.